Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and anybody that's new, welcome. Thank you for 30K. I hit that a little while ago, and I know I haven't been around for the last three or more weeks. I'm finally done all my traveling for the summer, and I'm very happy to be back crafting, and the Jenga blocks had a break, and they're not having a break. We're gonna work right through right till Christmas. I'm gonna try my best to put one or at least every week and a half put a video out. We'll have time now since we're coming to the end of summer season and everything's kind of back to normal for me. I am going to do a video in the next couple weeks. I did come back from the US and I was able to finally hit some Dollar Trees in the US, and it was quite an experience, and I'll just leave it at that. Today we are going to do a Jenga Block Ouija board. Now, the funny thing about it is I don't play the game. I don't want to play with any of that. I don't play with those spirits and that, and I don't want to, but I just thought it would be a really good decorative piece. Now, you can totally make this craft and switch the top part that I will go through later, that you could actually make it to something else. You can switch it to a Christmas board, a decoration tray. There's a lot of possibilities. So I'm just going to do the Ouija board just because we are doing Christmas stuff. And we're going to start off using the Dollar Tree tumbling tower blocks. You can get them at Dollar Tree in the toy section. If they don't have them, I would speak to a manager. Sometimes they're on an end cap in the store. If you are in the US, you can order them online on the Dollar Tree website. Sometimes they have depending where you live in the US, they will ship to your store for free. I heard some people say you need to order a box. Some other locations said they only can order a minimum of 3. It really depends. And if you are following my channel and subscribe, you're better just to get a case. And we do a lot of Jenga blocks on my channel. So in saying that, this build will be 140 blocks. That's just under 2 blocks of Jenga blocks. I always suggest getting a nice L-shaped carpenter square ruler, depending on what you want to call it. You can find that in the hardware section. It keeps your blocks nice and straight when you are gluing them together. I use Wellbond. It's my preference for glue. I would suggest using a wood glue, and there's different ones, DT. I have been saving this one. Thank you, Terry, for sending it out to me. I do have plans for this on a different note, and I will do that in the next couple weeks with this glue, but I am just going to stick with my Wellbond. I usually buy the bigger bottles because if you buy a bigger bottle, there's more per liter and it's only a couple dollars more, and then I just transfer it in the smaller one because it's easier to work with when I'm gluing blocks. I always put them in a little tub like this when I'm making something or creating something. We are going to start, and one more thing, when you are using, depending on what glue, please read the back and allow drying time. I know some of you have said yours has fallen apart. Doesn't matter what glue, it's all about drying time. And I find the longer you leave it, or if you leave it overnight, you do something before bed and leaving it overnight, it will dry and be more solid than you moving it around and playing with it, and it won't fall apart. I do not suggest using hot glue at all because your craft won't last, and it depends where you live. If it gets too cold, too hot, and it's something with temperature inside, the blocks don't seal properly either. Now I'm going to start off with this. A lot of times I do pre-glue my stuff. These ones are all loose. I do suggest pausing my as you go along. You might want to glue. This one's a pretty straightforward build, but you can pause the video and glue in sections as we go along. I do pre-glue my stuff before making a video just to make sure that pieces are going to work in sections, and then we kind of build it together. So the first row is going to be 15. I got 15 blocks here. They're just flat. And we're going to need 8 rows of these 15. Now, when you are gluing together, this is very important. The blocks are not straight. So as you can see here, this one's shorter and this one's longer. So sometimes that will make your sections wonky. Now I'm going to put another row, and I would suggest putting the 15, and the 8 rows all at once. I did use two rulers, just one over the other when I was putting it together, and I actually did glue one section first together. So I'm just going to do it like this. I would do one section first, let that dry, and then build off that. Now the reason I'll show you is I'm going to go down with the second row. Just going to stick them all here. Because none of the blocks are evenly cut. Like I said, some are shorter, some are thinner, and I'm just going to show you here in a second. Just want to get these blocks. So this is how I like to do it. So this one won't touch this one because the square is sticking out. So what I would suggest doing is this one's a little shorter, this one's a little longer. And sometimes I just play with the blocks and just find a better option to get them in there properly, just like that. And this one is still not working, so I will try to shift that down, too short. And this is, I kind of play around with them before I glue them to get a nice, and you're never gonna have it perfect, but I like to just do, this one I'll pull out, kind of move it around. And I did that with all 8 rows of the 15. And just to make sure that it evens out here, because once again, they could be wider this way, they could be taller. Even if they are taller, sometimes I do pull them out, and you'll keep going along. So as I go along here, as long as you can get a nicer square, if that makes sense, rectangular actually in this case, it's easier just to move some of the blocks around. And I think this one looks better there. No, that one's still long. But I know what you guys know what exactly I mean. And then you're going to move all the way down till you get to 120. Now I did this last night and I left it overnight to dry, and you can see here as some are shorter than others and all the way. So as best as I can do, there's a little bit there, but it's pretty darn rectangle. So I am going to stain it, and I want to do a stain color. But you need to go along, and especially with any glue you have, when you stain, if there is glue, the stain won't penetrate the wood, so it will just go over and you will see boo-boos. So you can find one of these buffing blocks, you can find them in Dollar Tree, and they are in the hardware section. And I would just go along wherever I see, and it's really hard to see, but you'll see a little shiny part on some of the seams. If you have a little hand buffer, you can just buff it away. It's a lot easier than using this, but it just makes it more of a nicer finish when you use stain to your projects. Now that I have it all sanded, we're gonna add 20 more pieces. We're gonna need 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and that's 10. And you're gonna need 2 of these, and that's 20. So the board is 120, and then you got the 2 10s. We're not gonna glue it on just yet. We're actually gonna stain the pieces separate. I'm just gonna use a gel stain from Rona, and I'm just gonna use the dark walnut. All right, now that I have it stained and done, and I also did the sides, but we're still not going to put those on, like I said earlier. Now, I got this stencil from Temu, and I will put it on the screen. The stencil cost $2.46 Canadian, so our money's a little bit lower than American dollars, so if you look up it on the line, click that link, it should change the money difference. So I'm not sure how much it'll be American. If someone can post how much it says American in one of the comments, that would be great. And I'm going to put it, and I'm going to center the edging right along this last line here, and as well as here, and look at the bottom just to make sure that it's centered. I'm going to grab some painting tape so it doesn't move. And I'll also put the link for this stencil in the description of this video. You can always look in the description of this video to find out the total number of blocks. And then we're just going to put this on the last piece here. And it's nice and flat. I'm just going to take some black paint. I'm going to use a little cup. These little cups you get from DT. I like the bigger ones, the salad ones. I don't know if you've seen that have the lid. So when you're painting something, you have to do a few coats. It's easier not to waste paint. And one of DT's little sponging thing. This one's a little bit bigger than my normal one that I like using. And then you're just going to go in there with the paint. And I am just going to do black. You can do it white. Maybe you want to do the board black and do a white coat. But I am going to do the black part. All right, so the next thing we are going to do, I do want to just let you know, I did switch brushes to a little fine, smaller brush. I found that when I was doing the dabbing, I put too much paint on it, so less paint is better. I was gonna put a coat of Mod Podge on it, but I think I'm just gonna leave it as is, more of a rustic, older looking instead of a shiny, glossy one. We're gonna take the 2 pieces on the ends. That's more of a tray. I know it's probably not really what a board game would have, but that's okay. We're in the crafting world. There's no rules. Gonna glue those right on there, and I'm gonna use Wellbond. I'm not gonna use hot glue. And then while I was in the US and California, I don't even know if they have them at the store here. I've never looked. I saw the door handles, and I thought, full drawer handles, and I thought they'd look really good right here. And I'm not going to screw them in, because then if the screw is more of a rounded bottom, that you're not going to be able to flatten the bottom piece onto the bottom. And I'm just going to use, I thought about hot glue, the only thing about hot glue, but I am going to stick some Wellbond glue in the hole. And then I'm just going to center them both on that side and let them glue just like that. All right, so while the handles and the little end pieces are drying on there, I wanted to add one of those, and I didn't know. I had to look it up on Google. It's planchette. I had to play it so I know how to say it. I don't know if I still said it the same way. These came from DT. They're just little wood cutouts. And just going to use an upside down heart for where apparently they put their fingers, but this is going to be mini size, and I'm not going to use it, but it will be on display, and I'll probably glue it down, so nobody that comes to my house is going to be summoning any kind of spirits or anything like that. So I am just going to take this, and I am just going to use some dark walnut stain and do the whole trim on it. But before I do that, I got these from DT a while ago. They were just in my stash. They're just little half rounds, little wood balls, half of that. I'm just going to glue a couple of those on, kind of like a glider. So it's a little bit raised. I'm going to glue that on the bottom side, and then I'm going to stain them. All right, now that I have this dry, the self-adhesive stencils I got from Dollar Tree. I think I used these for the paddles. I had some little bit left, and I cut 2 little pieces because I wanted to put a little black in the top of this. DT has these stickers, you know, they come in crosses and stuff like that with the diamond, and I just thought it would give it a nice touch. And this one, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, this would be perfect. And I'm just trying to look, and I think this is the way I'm gonna do it. I was gonna do it the other way, but this fits much better with the diamond. That kind of looks like the see-through part, I guess you see the numbers on. I'm just going to press it down really good. You might have to put a little bit of, you can paint a little bit of Mod Podge, because I think sometimes these stickers, well, looks like it's up pretty good. And then I just wanted to add, like I said, a little bit of black stuff. So you just paint, it's like little tape. You take the backing off. And I think I'm just gonna put 2 little stars here just with some black paint. And I think it will just give it a little something, something. All right, so here it is. When I did put the Mod Podge on, I just put these little clips just to hold it down a little bit better because the sticky part wasn't sticking too well. And I left them on for about 15 minutes, painted the little stars. And I think it just adds a little something, something. I know I said that before, but if you are going to use this, I would suggest putting a top coat like Mod Podge on it, spray, sealer, just because you don't want to scratch the black paint. I will show you at the end of the video a couple little knickknacks I will put on it. You also could put little feet like this. There's a little bit bigger ones. You can put them on the undersides, on the corner. Just be mindful of the weight that you're putting on there in case it's heavy, like some candles or anything like that. Just because it is a thin layer of blocks and it's a little bit wider and bigger build, you don't want it to break just in case. We are going to do 1 or 2 more crafts for Halloween. So I'm going to show you this at the end of the video and we're going to start a new one. All right, for the second DIY, we're going to do a Jenga Block Garden Coffin. We're going to need 50 blocks. You're going to start off with six flat. We're going to stick it right at the top. Second one we are going to do, you're going to do another 6 flat. We're going to do another row of 6 flat. You're going to just stick it like this, and I'm just going to show you here. And I'm going to actually glue it as I speak to you guys, so you guys will know how to glue this, because this one you're just going to need a little bit patience for drying. So you want to make sure this is on the end so that when it glues together, but we're going to do a couple different things here. Then we're going to do 1 row of 13, lucky 13. And we're going to stick it on the line on the inside here. We did it on the outside at the top. And I'm putting enough that I can make sure that it glues properly and you line it up good. I just wanted to pause that just to make sure as I was sticking this one together. Then we're going to move to another row of lucky 13. You're going to do it on the inside. If it gets a little bit messy, it's okay. You just got to make sure. If you want the shape a little bit more, you could just bend it. Just make sure while you are doing this, and I don't want to stick my head under the camera, that when you are doing this, that I'm not going to put glue on the bottom one, and I'm going to tell you the count in a second, that you get your shape. And you just want to make sure that it's even from the bottom to the top. Okay, sorry, I just had to look in the camera. And then we're going to do the glue right on the bottom, and this row is 6. And that's a total of 50 blocks. If it gets a little bit messy, like I said, don't worry about it. We'll fix it all up later. Just make sure when you're gluing that you have it where you want it. And then once you have it glued, you're just gonna leave it, not touch it, and I'm gonna let it sit for at least a good 8 hours. So I left this for a couple hours. I say about 3-4 hours, still letting it dry, but I am gonna leave it overnight, and I'm gonna do a little bit extra. I'm just gonna open up my Wellbond container, my glue. I'm just gonna stick a brush, and I'm just gonna stick an extra coating on the insides and the outsides, just so it can set overnight. And I'm gonna do that on all the corners, all the way around. All right, so I did leave it overnight. As you can see, it's pretty solid. It's just a little bit, if I put a little bit force. So we're just gonna take some hot glue, and I think I'm just gonna put the hot glue right on the side right here. I'm just gonna stick it in there. And the reason why you can't put hot glue when you put the Wellbond, or even if it was E6000, is you never want to touch hot glue and whatever other glue you're using, because it won't seal and it won't dry properly. I've learned that from a mistake in the past. So then you're just gonna let this dry. So I just put a little bit in there. I didn't let it overflow on the sides. I'm gonna give that a few minutes to dry. Once that is done, you're gonna take a piece of cardboard. Now I just have this box here, and I'm just gonna take this side here. Actually, I'll just go on this side. You're just gonna take the coffin. You're just gonna take a pencil all the way around. Then you are going to use a ruler when you cut it, and an X-Acto knife, and just to make sure you get the straight lines. So I already have it here, and it should just fit, and just make sure it's not sticking out anywhere. And I think I double checked, and I always just like to write, even if I should have did that when I did cut it, just because if you change it the other way, sometimes it might be a little bit wonky and it doesn't line up properly. And you can see right here, oh, it's not too bad. I guess I got it not too bad. But I always like to keep one side that you're tracing it on, because then you at least know that you have it properly cut and that it's not, excuse me, sticking out anywhere. And now I'm just gonna put some Wellbond on the back here, and then I'm gonna place it on the cardboard and let it dry. Now that I have it glued on, I just went inside with the Wellbond, and I went all the way on the inside just to make sure there is no little holes in between the cardboard and the Jenga blocks, because you want to make sure with the items that we're going to put inside that nothing small falls out in any of the cracks. So you're just going to leave it like that. I'm going to stick it in the sun for a couple hours, let it fully dry before we move on to the next step. All right, so I left this for a couple hours, and you can see that the Wellbond has dried on the inside, so there's nothing that's going to fall out through the sides. Now, if you remember a couple other projects, a couple years ago, I was using paper towel mache. I know some of you guys don't like it, but I want to make it a nice textured coffin. Similar idea to the Jenga Block Coffin shelf that I did a couple of years ago, and you can find that tutorial in my list. You can make this one an upright as well, just on a smaller version, but I would put something on the base and glue it on if you'd like to do it like that, and you can add shelves. This one's going to be flat. I'm just going to take some Elmer's school glue, and I'm just ripped up a bunch of paper towel, and I just want to do halfway on the inside. I don't want to do it all the way around. And just like, you can even do the paper mache. It's kind of a messy kind of thing. Once I do it all the way around, you're just going to brush a coat on, then put your paper towel down and just brush some more on it. And just make sure that you don't have to put it too saturated, but make sure that at least it is wet as you do it. And I'm going to do that as well, wrapping around, so then you don't see the edges on the back. And like I said, just halfway on the inside, so when we put the stuff inside later, that it is covered all the way down. The fastest way to let it dry is put it in a window that's sunny. You could use, I guess, a heat gun, but I wouldn't keep it on there too much unless it starts bubbling. Not bubbling, but in case it starts getting warped. So I left it outside for a couple hours, about 3.5 hours, and it's totally dry now. So I'm going to paint it black, and I probably have to give it 2 good coats, and I'm also going to paint the back side of it as well. And I'm just going to go along the border here inside. I don't need to paint that black either. All right, now that I have it painted, I see a couple little spots I am going to touch up. But once I touch those up, I am just going to grab some Mod Podge, and I'm actually just going to do a matte coat just to give it a little bit of a shine, more of a satin as opposed to the gloss, and you can more than welcome to do that. You could also put glitter. Now that we have it nice and dry, I did it on the back, and as you can see on the back, I didn't do the paper towel, which you can, but it's going to be on the bottom, so you're not going to see it. Gonna take one of these floral forms from Dollar Tree. This is how much I had left still from one block. And this is little pieces that I cut. And I just cut them thinner because I want to make sure that, that I didn't want to use too much stuff we're going to put in it. So you want it to be up a little bit, raised a bit. And I just take a really sharp knife. It's uneven in some spots, but that's okay. And I'm actually, before I put those pieces in, I want to just make sure that they're all hot glued down. So now that I have that all glued in, we're going to use some skeletons now. I don't really like the little ones from DT. I just find they're not painted and not really made well. When I was in California, I was at Walmart and they had them for $1.98, and I really like these ones better. They actually, you can twist them around. They're a little more bendable too, that I really like, and painted pretty well. I'm just gonna hot glue this guy here. These ones are from last year in my stash. They're actually, you get a 3-pack from Michael's. Make sure if you buy anything from Michael's, you check online for coupon, because usually sometimes you can get your 30% off from them. I have another little wood cutout. I'm gonna hot glue that right on there. I'm gonna just stick it on an angle, so when you're looking at it, it's more of a sideways, so you see the length of the coffin. DT came out with these little bottles and random little sizes for Halloween. Gonna put it there. I'm just gonna put it on an angle. I'm gonna hot glue these off camera. I got a little mouse. Then I have these little plants, and this would be good if you have maybe air plants in your house that you want to display. I'm just gonna randomly, and this is good with the styrofoam too, that you can just stick them in. Just like random places, I'm just gonna stick a couple in. And then I'm also gonna put a pumpkin. And then the next thing we're gonna do after that is I'm actually just gonna pour some garden soil, house plant soil that I have. And I'm just gonna put it down on the inside. Once I'm done, I'm gonna show you what it looks like. All right, so I finished it up. I did find a little fly that I glued onto the chest, and I think it turned out really well. I will, at the end of the video, flip the camera around so you can see it from a side angle instead of right over top. And this was 50 blocks and the garden coffin. So now we're gonna move on to the next one. And we are gonna do a Jenga Block Zen Coffin. Exact same thing. I'm going to turn it sideways just because of the camera and the angle. It's really wide and it's kind of off my mat. I've already glued it together. It's the same process, but it's going to be a different count of blocks. This one's going to be bigger, and this one's going to have a 60 count. And I'm just going to measure this other one, just so someone will ask me, I know. So from top to bottom, I'd say it is just over 12 inches by the widest point would be almost 7.5 inches. This one is going to be bigger. So I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to have it sideways, guys. So from the top to bottom, we are going to do, I'm going to show you here. We're going to do 8 flat. The sides are 7. So you got 7 right here, 7 on this side. The long part here is 16. The long part here is 16. And the bottom is 6. I did the exact same thing. I left it to dry with the glue. Then I did put some hot glue on there. I'm gonna do the exact same with a little bit change in the difference in the inside. And I was gonna do a different way, but I think I am just gonna stick with the same type of coating with the paper towel mache, just because it holds really well. But we're gonna do a different coat on it. So I'm just gonna glue this on, and I'm just gonna do the exact same process to start it. And we're gonna do something a little bit different after we have the paper mache on. All right, for the second one, we are gonna start off with the same process and paint on the inside, around the sides and the back. Just gonna paint it black. You can paint it any color you want, but we're gonna start off with the black color. Now that I have it dry on here, instead of just putting Mod Podge on it, I actually want to do some black glitter. I have some from Michael's that I really like. If you're close to Dollarama, I just about spelled these ones out. Dollarama has them. DT only sells them in a little pack. I think you'll need more than one, and I have some other glitter if I run out. Just put a coat of Mod Podge on and then just tap the glitter. Try to make sure when you're putting the glue on, it's nice and even and not too clumpy, because it will show through. I think it'll give a nice texture. I am just going to do the sides and halfway down all around. I am not going to do the back at all. Now that I did the inside with the glitter, I don't have my light on. What I do, especially working, and you probably all know when you work with glitter, you seem to wear it for days on end. And as much as I love it, it's just a pain in the butt that you have it all over you. I like to use the Mod Podge Super Shine spray, especially after that you finish what you're doing, because then it just adds an extra seal. You also can just go over, once the first coat of glitter and the Mod Podge dry, you can go over with the paint on stuff, but I just like the spray stuff a lot better, and it's a lot faster to do. So now that I have that done, I want to put along the edge here fence. Now I found these recently at Dollarama. Now Dollarama is a store where I live here in Canada. It's one big piece and it's all one long piece. You can cut it, use wire cutters. I already just spray painted mine while I was spraying this drying outside, and I did it black, and it actually fits perfect along the edges. And I'm just gonna hot glue it on the back. Now if you can't find that and you are in the US, you can also use the chipboard shapes, the Dollar Tree ones. I just don't have enough in my package, but you can just paint those, and these are just easy enough to bend around as well. You can do that if you want to add a fence. I'm just going to hot glue the fence on. Now that I have the fence put on, I'm going to do, just like last time, I'm going to add some more Floriform to raise it up. Now that I have all the stuff hot glued down, we're gonna put some stuff in it, and I wanted it a little bit different than the garden coffin that we just did before this. I want to make more of this one Zen with sand. Dollar Tree came out. They're still putting stuff out on my store. They are so slow. I just thought with the Zen and stuff like that, this worked really great to put in, hot glue these down. Dollar Tree also came out with these little Zen guys, and I also seen them at Dollarama as well last year. I'm not sure about this year. I haven't been in. I just thought just with the Zen vibe was working out really good. just one of the Dollar Tree spiders and a couple snakes. These little succulent plants came from Dollar Tree as well, and they have the little pins on the back, and you could just situate them somewhere in there. You really can do any decor. There's something I forgot to mention here. They always try to say this recently is please put your name on your work and craft groups. Just with all the scamming going on, no one's giving you a free Cricut, all that stuff, pay for shipment. So many people are getting ripped off. People's pictures are getting taken, and then people are trying to fake sell the items. So be mindful when you're posting, and just be careful of who you buy for. Make sure they're reputable. Usually if you check their personal profile, you can tell pretty much right away, but just be wary. A lot of scammers out these days. So I'm just going to situate them somewhere around here. I'm going to hot glue them down. And then once I do that, and I thought this was the fun part, wanted to put some sand. These are bags, and I just thought the red will really make it pop and stand out with the snakes and everything black on it, with everything else. I did buy 3 bags, so I'm going to see how many bags of sand this is going to need. Now, the reason why I wanted to lift it up and I didn't want to have it too low is because I didn't want to make it super heavy. So being that we did do the paper mache, it will hold a lot better and be a lot stronger than if you just painted it, and say if we use spackle, because that was one of the things. The only problem is on the side of the cardboard. So I wanted, it's going to be a really solid. I just don't want it super heavy, especially with 1 bag of sand is pretty heavy. But I mean, it is pretty solid, and it is really not that heavy. These are heavy, a little bit heavy too. So you got to be mindful whatever you put in there. So I'm going to get those glued down, put the sand, and we're going to make one more thing to add to it. All right, so when I added this red sand, it really popped. I only used a bag and maybe not even a quarter of it, of a second bag, just enough to cover it a little bit higher. I did add a little bit of green. So I wanted to, you can order from Temu, little garden rakes and stuff like that. Temu takes about anywhere from 7 to 12 days. So when I was making this, I wouldn't have had time to order them because sometimes I don't know what I'm making, and that's usually 90% of the time. But I did make this little rake, and it's just something, I am going to order proper ones for this, but for now I think it'll be okay. I don't know, maybe I'll really like it when I finish painting it. I am just going to spray paint it, and I'm going to take it outside and spray paint it. All I use is these little tiny wood dowels, 4 little small pieces on a little bit bigger piece glued to the end. And if I take, unfortunately, that piece of glue off, it's going to come off. But the purpose of Zen Gardens, if you want to make the designs just like that, I guess that's the whole idea you could do with it. It looks like the snake is slithering through there, and I'll probably just put it on an angle against the little hand. I'm just going to spray this. I was thinking also might put some jute rope just to conceal that little piece of glue that's on the end, but I'm going to wait till I finish spray painting that. All right, guys, so here it is. I'm not going to put any candles or anything because I'm not going to do any kind of seance or anything. Just wanted to show you a little bit better look at that. I think it looked pretty cool on it. And this is just a Dollar Tree skull as well. And here is the second one from the side view. And here's the last one, and I think the sand really popped. I didn't even put the jute rope on it. I think it was fine just like that. You could also use a part of a nail tip and right onto the little wood dowel and cut it down to look like a spade shovel is another idea. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Which one are you gonna make? Thank you for watching as always. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please check out my page on Facebook, The Crafty Shopper. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm more of a Facebook girl, but we'll see you soon. Happy crafting. Bye.